Hi, Stephen Ronald Bell. I'll start out and say that I've got a list here that will change your life if you've got PTSD, trauma, anxiety, any generalized anxiety disorder. I'll show you what worked for me, how I know I spent 14 months in a veterans hospital full time, 24 hours, Green Slopes Keith Pain Unit. So I know what works and what doesn't. That was on the PTSD program. I myself had an injury in the army, and let's go over what it is that works, what doesn't. Let's start with talk therapy. So talk therapy is A tier. It doesn't seem that way because people get lost in the problem. If you're just going again and again for talk therapy, it's more like down here. But initially talking and opening up, it's not a private issue anymore. It's a public issue. You've owned it. You're actually going to progress where you can actually instigate a change now. You have to talk to someone about the issue that you're having. If you're back from deployment, if you've had an issue with the cops, issue with the you were in prison, you've had an issue with maybe you're a firefighter or a paramedic, you have to first talk about it because the biggest key feature for PTSD in general is avoidance. Once you've kind of put the light on it, you've hit it with the torch, now it's something that you can in fact begin to treat. Let's start with this one. No caffeine, stims, diet, sleep. I mean, that is in itself A tier. If you have an anxiety issue and you're drinking coffee, you're taking stims, you're taking pre-workouts, you're taking Adderall, any of those Dexies, you're not sleeping correctly, you're sleeping too late, which happens when people have PTSD. They don't like to sleep. I've had it myself where I was getting bad nightmares. I couldn't sleep. I'd get really paranoid when I hadn't been sleeping for a while. I'd be looking out the windows like I was on crack. I'd be stressed. I used to set up sometimes traps near the door for if people were to, in fact, break in. I was convinced they would, even though nobody had. And you would be surprised that that stuff happens, right? The less that you sleep, the more that your psyche itself falls apart. Another one, CBT. So cognitive behavioral therapy, that's up there. Probably a B tier. So essentially, it's a way of reprogramming trauma and events that have happened, negative events. It's yeah, behavioral therapy, your reaction to certain things. Very qualified psychiatrist can do that. I was at the Green Slopes Keith Pain Unit, so I saw a psychiatrist there hundreds of times, Dr. Tucker. He's one of the best PTSD psychs in Australia, and I've seen him yeah, probably hundreds of times, right? And he changed my life. He really saved it. I was a complete mess when I went in there. And I didn't think that I was really going to make it. And I've spent a lot of time with veterans. The Green Slopes Private Hospital, Keith Pain Unit, it's only veterans there. I've spent a lot of time around probably thousands at this point of veterans, a lot of SF guys, a lot of infantry guys, a lot of guys back from the war, and a lot of guys struggling. And they get lost. May as well move into this after talking about that. They get lost on these medication. We're talking about the haloperidols, the lorazepam, the Valiums, the benzos, the antipsychotics, the Seroquels, the Subaltrams, the Zolofts, the SSRIs, where you can be better in the short term and then you can become a long-term zombie, right? Meds, if you're in a crisis, like if you're hanging on by a thread, I mean, medication can help you, right? It keeps you in the game, keeps you to where I'm suppressed somewhat and now I can get help. But if I get lost on the meds where the meds are in fact that's all, that then they're an F tier. But if the meds are in fact just a crutch to get you up, they're likely somewhere between a B and a D tier, somewhere there. I would say mostly in the B tier, I would say, depending on the medication. I was prescribed too much, some Seroquel, some Voltram, other antidepressants as well. I've tried Effexor, I've tried most of those as well. I was put on them for too long, and as you take more, they become kind of like a cocktail where you're taking multiple things and you get multiple side effects. Brain zaps can come in when you're they can become quite serious. You can get sexual sides where you can't really fuck properly. Either your dick doesn't work 100% or you can't bust. This shit happens. Like when you mess around with SSRIs, you can get a serotonin syndrome where you just don't feel happy ever again, even if you stop taking them. You have to be really careful with those medications as well. Guys can get sexual sides that last for a very long time as well. Guys can get fat. Like you can get fat on Seroquel. I mean, you used to see it all the time in the hospital. Guys would come in, and then I myself the same, just eating cheese sandwiches at night, and just like your appetite just cranks up. Even if you were fit before, it's easier. It also, I believe, slows your metabolism down. You don't feel like doing much. Bikram yoga was a lifesaver for me. It sounds like a fruity thing. Guys will say that it's for the hippies, but Bikram, it grounded me entirely. I thought it was stupid when I first went there. I would actually put it between an A and an S there. But I thought it was stupid when I first went to Bikram. So it's hot yoga. But then once I started doing the grounding stuff, and once I started being there, it's just like your nervous system can shut down for like a brief time. When I had PTSD at my worst, I would just like I would go in my room, whatever, and I would sit in the bath and for like I would play like the have these cassettes and things that I would play to try and calm myself down for like 10 minutes. And it felt nice to just maybe for like 10 minutes I would lose control where I would just like let go for 10 minutes and then I would be like wake back up and then be like, oh, I've got to like I got to get back to like doing shit like patrolling and stuff. Like I was completely cooked with that sort of thing. And that wasn't on any, at that time, I wasn't taking any medication. I was just stressed all the time, but I was still drinking coffee. Coffee when you're kind of still in somewhat of a crisis is not good. Pre-workout is not good. Certain anabolics can be not good. Some people can be like, oh, I'm worried about being strong and all of this because they feel somewhat vulnerable, even if they're like Superman. And then they can start taking heavy anabolics, like maybe Trenbolone and things like that. And if you have like PTSD and or any mental sides, you shouldn't take Trenbolone, like people shouldn't in general. But you shouldn't take any of these really harsh androgens. They can really mess you up on top of already the fact that, and also you need to accept with PTSD, you need to own your condition. It's no one else's fault that you have it. I know that it sucks because, certain people have been deployed and things like that. And, maybe they were put in situations that weren't good and the aftercare is not great. But the people that you're around and things like that, you can't lash out at them. I know it's hard it's easy to say that. Not to, I mean, I do that. Sometimes I still lash out, but I try to keep it under control. And something is the thing, right? It's not your fault, but it's still your problem. Like it's not your fault if you go to war and you've been shot at, or explosions nearby, or people died around you, or not even you're in a war. Like certain PTSD can affect people different. They've had studies where they just said that your brain was like, what is it, deprived of cortisol or something like that, and then the brain itself actually changes. You sleep on it and then the brain changes and there's actually been a change. And then it's like anything, right? If you're in a war zone for too long or any of that stuff, it's just there's a permanent change. Your brain moves from, all right, I want to keep you alive. Yeah, this is an optimal like functionality, for the day to day in Civvy Street, but I want to keep you alive over there. So then you come back and sometimes you don't switch back and you're stuck in that mode, but now you're in civilian world and now you have all of these triggers. You see the shit that isn't really there and it's tiring. The worst effect of PTSD is it's like living at 300%. In your house, it can be great. Also, why isolation can be a big thing with PTSD because you're home alone or you're alone in your home. Sometimes this is fine, right? You're running at like maybe 150%. But then as soon as you go in public or people are coming around or you know that you have social commitments, you crank up to like 300%. And it's very tiring. It's tiring to be hyper aware. Like you're alert of things that are happening 10 times before they could even happen. You see social events and things, and people have no idea what's about to transpire. You do, and it can become isolating. You can become ultra good at reading people because you have to, right? You're worried about your own life and things like that, which can be socially isolating. You can see people see through them, which can be isolating. When you have PTSD or at a high level like that, there's no bullshitting someone with PTSD because they see all of the microaggressions and all of the stuff. Like they get very good at picking up social cues. And that can be isolating because sometimes people don't mean what it is that they're projecting, but you assume that they do. And then you can overreact. EMDR is S tier, like eye movement rapid deceleration, I believe it is. It's yeah, S tier with a very qualified psychiatrist or psychologist. Again, it's another position of reframing the event that happened, and it helps you to kind of accept it and get through it. That was a key change for me. There was a girl that I saw in Brisbane. I can't remember exactly her name was. She was in Adelaide Street, and she was doing EMDR where they tap you as well. And they basically go over all of the shit that had happened and these events and things like that. And it really was a game changer. I don't know how, where you move your eyes around and things, you close your eyes and move them around. But I've also I saw a study they did like some CIA agent, how they sleep at night when it's like a really tough spot to sleep in, right? They might be on a mission and they'll often move their eyes, like they lay down and sleep and they move their eyes side to side and it simulates a REM sleep and they actually fall asleep quicker. I hadn't seen that. Tremor therapy, that's another one in the S tier. You have to learn it online. I can provide references if you want. They're just exercises that you can do at home. Like this is no cost. EMDR is not crazy expensive, but it's not cheap. Bikram is like very cheap. I mean, hot yoga is good because you relax your muscles, and if you got PTSD, I believe it's good in the beginning because it gives you something else to focus on. Like it's hard, it's work. Bikram is hard. Like, I mean, you'll look in, it doesn't matter if you're built like a tank, your little muscles and like those connecting tissues and things, you'll do Bikram and be like, holy shit. And you see some guys where they're just like this, and you're like, holy shit, this guy's really good at this. And it gives you a bit more. It's just good to be around people that are non-threatening, like yoga class and things like that. Like they're not threatening people, and you can't be threatening there either because they're not soldiers. Like most of them are just, hippie types, just trying to get by. So, but it's also it doesn't trigger you much because you're around them, and most of them are just peaceful people minding their own business. Talk therapy again, a tier for getting it out initially, but you don't want to keep talking about the problem where you get problem focused and actually you can fall deeper and deeper into a depression because you're focused on the problem. I think that was Robin Williams' case. He was in talk therapy for like a decade or two, talking all the time, and he ended up having a bad end, right? No coffee, no stims, and diet and sleep is key. Like that's key. If you've got PTSD and you find yourself sleeping after like 1 or 2 a.m., just know that the next day it's very likely that you're going to have quite a shit day in that your PTSD is not going to be great. And also accept the PTSD. I'm not saying that's lifelong for you because maybe you can get over it or you can move through or, find ways to deal with it, find what your triggers are and then somewhat avoid them or have more understanding of them so that they don't hit you as much of a blind side. But all of this stuff helps. Like the more stimulated that you are, the more likely that you're going to overreact and more likely that you're going to flip out. So you have to, manage that sort of stuff, the stims, the coffee, the fucking monsters, the Red Bulls, whatever it is. You shouldn't drink Red Bull. You shouldn't be having pre-workout if you have PTSD or any anxiety condition because it's just going to make it worse. You're already overstimulated enough. No treatment. I mean, that's obviously in the F tier, right? Like zero treatment. Zero treatment again, you're going to get blindsided. Like it's a punch that you don't see coming that's actually really going to knock you out, specifically if you're already having symptoms and signs. Some people can have like real mild PTSD, and some people can have had a massive event and it doesn't really hit them that hard. And then others can have an event that's seemingly minor. Guys can be dumped or cheated on or something and still get a form of PTSD, right? They end up avoiding relationships or they don't want to be with another. Some guy gets a monster divorce. He gets destroyed in a divorce where he's like, I don't want to even hear from women ever again. Avoidance is a key component of PTSD, right? So it's not one to trivialize someone else's and say, oh, but you weren't like, you went in Kandahar or something, therefore you don't have PTSD that I do. You might find that they do. They just got it from something else. So that's really it. Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy beats here, I think is good, but they have to have a qualified psychologist, psychiatrist. Meds is B and D, but still you might need it. Like if you're in a crisis or you're thinking of like self-harm or anything like that, you might need it anyway. But it's just a crutch to get you to the top pieces. Like this is the intro piece. Like meds is the bottom. Like it can be a foundation where I take, I got put on like antidepressants or something and I'm just bridging them. Like I only want to be on them for a couple of months. Not I'm just going to stay on antidepressants for my whole life. Because I mean, unless you're in a permanent crisis, it's not going to be great for you. Like you're going to start to get a lot of the other side effects as well. You can become like a zombie where you just feel neither happy nor sad. Yeah, and then you want to work through the rest. So that's really it. I know that people struggle with PTSD or anxiety or things like that, but know that it seems cringe, but you're not alone. A lot of others have that as well. Some people have PTSD and they don't talk about it, which is also a problem because again, it boils over and it can really blow your whole life up. And it can be like, show up in different patterns. You can become explosive. You can become where it's difficult to be around. I see it with a lot of veterans in the military hospital. They're just difficult to be around. Like for too long, I would say it's hard to be around them for too long because they're very prickly and they can become kind of like pricks. And I would say that to their face. It's hard to be around them, and they know that because it's challenging. So yeah, I run the group, The Complete Man. And it's a mindset group. Essentially, I help guys with a lot of exercises and building out non-negotiables, building out their foundation, getting rid of negative self-talk. And yeah, essentially, if you want to join the Brotherhood, TCM, StephenRonaldBell.com, that's me. And I mean it when I say that if you're struggling with it, just know that you're literally not alone, right? A lot of people silently struggle with this, and it's a challenge. But that's it. That's it from me. Stay strong, lads. Talk to you soon.